Hi, this is Mrs. Cornitz, and we're going to continue looking at division. And so last time we did a little bit of reminding about what division is. So division is breaking a quantity into equal groups. We also reminded ourselves of the vocabulary that we use in division. We have our dividend, which is our amount being broken up. Our divisor does that breaking up. And then the quotient is our answer to the division problem. We also paid attention to the fact that the larger the divisor, the smaller the quotient. If we're dividing by a large number, our quotient, we're going to get a smaller quotient. If we're dividing by a small quotient, we're getting a small divisor. If we're breaking it up by a smaller divisor, we're going to get a larger quotient. And so today we're going to look at the two basic types of division problems, the way we can think about just the bare numbers, what they mean. So two interpretations of a division problem. So we're going to look at the division problem 20 divided by 4. And so we can show that in an array. And one way we can interpret this is the 4 can stand for 4 groups. I have 1, 2, 3, 4 groups. And what we would be looking for is how many are in each group. The other way we can interpret a division problem is that the 4 stands for how many are in each group. Each group has 4, and so how many groups does that end up making? If we have 20 objects and we put 4 in each group, how many groups do we make? So we're going to look at a few problems and see if we can figure out what kind of problems they are or how they're structured. So here's our first problem. Priya filled 5 jars using a total of 7.5 cups of strawberry jam. How many cups of jam are in each jar? And so Priya filled 5 jars, so we know that there are 5 groups. We know how much jam is being split up into those 5 groups. What we don't know is how much is in each group. So this is our unknown. We know the number of groups. We know how much is being split up. We don't know how much ends up going into each group. And so, actually, our division problem for this is still 7.5 divided by 5 equals question mark. We're not going to solve it. We're just figuring out what does it mean. All right, so then we have Han. Han had some jars. He put 3/4 of a cup of grape jam into each jar using a total of 6 3/4 cups. How many jars did he fill? All right, Han had some jars. We're looking for how many jars he filled. We're looking for how many groups. Each group is going to get 3/4 of a cup. We know that there was 6 3/4 cup to be split up. What we need to figure out is how many jars is that going to fill up? How many equal groups will we get when each group is size 3/4? And so here's our last problem. Mai had 4 jars. In each jar, she put 2 1/4 cups of homemade blueberry jam. Altogether, how many cups of jam are in the jars? So they tell us Mai has 4 jars, so we know how many groups there are. They tell us each jar gets 2 1/4 cups of homemade jam, so we know how much is in each group. And we're searching for the total amount of jam to begin with. And so this isn't a division problem. We know the number of groups. We know how much is in each group. This is actually a multiplication problem. And so this is a good thing to remind yourself that just because we're in a division unit doesn't mean that every problem is going to be a division problem. Since division and multiplication are related to one another, kind of be careful with your thinking to make sure, is this division, is this multiplication?